We had a hearing some time ago at which, or maybe it was a conversation with one of our many, many terrific economists, that essentially the 7 people that ran the 7 largest index funds, think Fidelity, Vanguard, or the like, were running our country. That they had an enormous number of the stocks under their direct control. Clearly, those may be the people that have a responsibility to maximize shareholder price, since they're, or not. How do we change the incentive system for them? Or is the incentive system right for them? Are they part of the solution?
Well, I think I'd address first the assumption that what are they actually doing with this incredible market power that they have? I think the numbers usually tossed around that BlackRock, which is the largest of the large, I think that they own something like 7 or 8% of virtually every publicly traded security. They are the ultimate universal investor. They can't exit, they have to own the market. And so they have actually limited ability to influence corporations directly, because they have thousands, they have probably hundreds of annual meetings during season every day, and they have a limited number of staff who are really detailed to kind of directly engage with corporations. So I think in some respects, they mostly, BlackRock is one that would have been criticized for this. They mostly just vote with management. They vote with, they vote with whatever management wants on proxy votes. They've started to step back from that on some issues that, kind of are critically important. I mean, climate change being one of them. But it's not that obvious what they can do as an indexer. And so I think it takes us back to kind of saying, what are the expectations of investors? And it takes me back also to this other question about how we pay executives and what the expectations there are, because Elizabeth Warren's proposal would suggest that it's just a matter of time frame, and that loading up executives with stock, which in some respects the BlackRocks of the world like, right? Because that means that that they're, in theory, that those CEOs are very, very attuned to pumping up the stock price. And of course, there's an awful lot of that going on. But if you're a BlackRock or a Vanguard, you want the whole portfolio to do well. It doesn't really do this good, just as Rick's been pointing out, to kind of focus in on one stock or the other. So if I were writing that law, I'd be pulling back. Not that Congress necessarily has the power to do this, by the way. There's more power that resides within executives to fix their own stock, maybe, than Congress doing it directly. We've learned this from past experience. But I'd pull back from the emphasis on stock. I don't think it's doing us any good. You hire these executives, they have, they're people that have to exercise extraordinary judgment. They don't need incentives to take seriously the kind of risks that they're facing in this remarkably complicated day and remarkably complicated market. And I don't know why we have to kind of load them up with stock in order to head them in the right direction. They care ultimately about the health of their enterprise, as they should. And they should care about, if not everything that one might call a stakeholder, I don't particularly like that term, they have to get the formula right. They've got to manage their enterprise for the long haul. And that means being very attuned to what's the input that matters the most if I'm an Intel, or what's the input that matters the most if I'm Chevron or Exxon. Those are going to come up with different answers. And what we want is executives who actually are well compensated, that's fine, but who have kind of a sense of where they fit into the larger market, not doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, to have them just focus on the stock price.